This is the Bonus Section Podcast, episode number 37, Persistence and Determination Trump Talent. Are you the type of person that knows you were meant for something greater in this lifetime, and that somewhere inside of you there's this bigger version of yourself just trying to break through, but in spite of all your self-development, you just can't seem to find the way up? Well, then, hey, you are definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Bonus Section and the host of this podcast, and a person just like you, trying to learn how to live the most fulfilling life possible. Now, to help you take immediate action to get moving in a better direction, we take all the notes from each episode and we post them for a short period of time over at freethinkingtools.com. We don't want to post everything over there. We just want to post a couple things that will help you think this week, right? Just sit down and spend some time thinking about what's happening in your life, what strategies you're using to get what you want or not, so that you can course correct and live a better lifestyle. Okay? That's the goal here. But today, persistence and determination trump talent. Is that true? Pretty firm statement. Well, let's get into it. The first point here is, what is talent and why are we so quick to blame it for success? Let's talk about that. So if you go look for a dictionary version of what talent is, it's skill or aptitude in a natural way. In other words, we were born with that talent, right? That gal came out of the womb and man, she was just born to play that violin. That guy came out of the womb and he was just born to play soccer. Whatever it might be, when we look outward and we live in this visual media world where we can observe and watch people do pretty much everything. We can watch business people. We can read their books, listen to them talk about their video, look at their public company statements, or look at their local success, and we can observe so much more easily than we ever did before. So we are overwhelmed by all of these things we get to observe, and it just gets overwhelming to the extent that it seems like so much work. We just blame talent. That's what happens. You watch a great soccer player or an Olympic, I'll be right, an Olympic athlete doing something amazing. Oh, must have been born that way. And it's just a dismissive way to, and I think it hurts that person. You're dismissing them as just a talented person. I know that sounds weird. Sounds like a compliment. Oh, you're so talented. Well, you shouldn't say that so quickly because, quite frankly, to a lot of those people, I think it's an insult. And here's why. I mean, really, was it talent? I mean, did you really come out of the womb and you were that talented that you just started to play an instrument? I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do believe in talent. I believe some people come, out of the womb or they're born to be incredibly naturally gifted physically. They're great athletes. Their body movement is just so fluid and amazing. I do think there's some predisposition to be talented at something, but you still have to like that thing, and you still have to have this persistence and determination to go after it. So let's get to that next point. Well, let's put talent aside for a second. I mean, that's our enemy today. The fact that we blame talent. We're not denying it exists. We got to make the enemy that we're too quick to say somebody's success is based on talent. Therefore, we could never do it. That's often what we do. We use somebody else's talent as the way to flog ourselves for being untalented and miserable and we'll never get anything. So we use it to beat ourselves down with it. That's an enemy. It needs to be. So let's just talk about persistence and determination as a hopeful conversation. That maybe if I didn't come out of the womb as a great hockey player, an actress, or a business person, maybe with persistence and determination, I could become that thing. Maybe I could. But the question on the table here is, well, what triggers that? And in the last episode, if you want to go back, I talk about Will Smith. Now, there's an actor who I don't know that he's the most talented actor. I mean, I know actors and actresses. I have a daughter who I think is a very good actress. And I do believe that she had some natural talent, which was a little baby. But it was more that, how do you trigger the persistence and determination to become that thing, to refine that craft, to take it to the next level? And I think it starts like with what Will Smith says, just decide. And I'm not talking about just a whimsical decision that it's hobbyistic. I'm talking about a real decision that welling up in you is this decision that you want to be this thing. You know what I say in the entry to all these podcasts here for the bonus section? I say, do you know that there's some kind of bigger version of yourself inside that's waiting to break free? But in spite of all your self-development efforts, you just can't seem to find the way up. I say it in the beginning of every one of these podcasts. That's that frustration that we experience. And I think we can start to move up once we decide and we hang that North Star up in the air. That's what we do. And we put it there and we set this goal. And now we have a trigger because we can see this thing. And we don't worry about what everybody else is doing or how they're doing it. Let me go back to my daughter, Jenny, for a second. So Jenny and I drove her two sisters down to New Haven, Connecticut the other day to the train station with the intent, a very clear intention and a decision to go walk around the campus at Yale University, where they have the #1 Masters in Fine Arts program for acting as ranked by many people in many articles, etc. So I wanted her to see it because she's very intellectual in her approach to acting. She's been out in LA doing the hard grind and trying to get started in the middle of a pandemic and all these crazy things. And she needed a refresh. She needed a re-triggering of this persistence and this determination into the pursuit of this craft. And I could tell that the North Star wasn't as shiny as it once had been. That North Star was, let's get out to LA and let's grind this and let's figure this out. We needed a refresher. And we needed to say, well, whether it's going to be a coach or an MFA program, we need to hang it. We were sitting there in this little restaurant and the corner of New Haven, and there was a little star hanging, a paper star hanging down the window because it was Christmas time. And I said, see, right here, this is the thing. You just got to go attached to this. And you could see this trigger happening of interest, right? And you have to be careful when you're coaching anybody. So you kind of come in and out and you just like do you see it? You get it? And then you get out of the way because that just decide moment has to be for you, the individual. It has to be your decision, not, a doting father, who's proud and wants to push you. And I do this with all my kids, right? And all my coaching members in my real estate coaching business, whatever. I mean, I'm looking to trust you. I don't know you, but I'm trying to trigger you to see a North Star for yourself, give yourself permission, and then unleash this determination. And then there's persistence. I probably should have flip-flopped those words. If I'm determined to hang the star and then see it there in my mind's eye at least every day before I go to bed, when I wake up, it follows me around like this big, hairy, audacious goal. Right? They call that a BHAG. Big, hairy, audacious goal. You're after this thing that you want, and you become determined to do at least just give it life. That's the first trigger. And then the determination to begin to move in that direction. So let's go back to Jenny for a second. Well, how would you move in that direction? Well, you would read the application process to get into that next place and figure out what do they want? What are they looking for? How's that line up with what I do? Now you go back to LA and you're persistent in developing that out. And again, it doesn't matter whether that stays the big North Star. Maybe something changes and you realize going through that process, you were determined to go in a little bit of a different direction. So it's not like you can't change. It's not like these things get fixed in the sky. And that's the only thing. Like, for example, if you were involved in the symphony and you just couldn't fall in love with playing the violin or an instrument. What if you were the next great conductor? What if you were the next great producer of these great shows that happen? You might end up in the same industry that you're so enamored by. See what I mean? But you got to start to get something up above you that you look up to it and become determined that you will become part of that thing, that place. And then the persistence each day, even if it's a side hustle, as they call it, or a side hobby, and you don't have, you don't have to quit your day job always to get persistent and determined to move in a new direction. Nobody's saying that. It's 168 hours in a week. If you spend one concentrated hour a week being determined to think, spend some time like this with me, thinking about, am I triggered by this? Am I determined and am I going to be persistently thinking about it and taking action steps? Am I feeling a chemical change? That's what a trigger really feels like, psychosomatically. I think it, and then I can feel something changing. And typically it's a happy feeling. It's a relief feeling in some cases, right? In Jenny's case, her shoulders came down a little bit. It was sort of an exhale moment and a calming. strange what can happen is when you see something and then you're determined and you just decide. It doesn't mean you get hype. Doesn't mean you got to go hit somebody. It just means all of a sudden there's clarity. Sometimes it can be very calming. So the next point is, what does accelerated learning have to do with persistence? Why does that matter? Remember, we're chasing away talent as an excuse here. I'm not saying that certain people aren't predisposed with these talents. I can make that case. Several of my own kids, well, all my kids, I knew in each of them what their natural aptitude was in skill set. And I never overcoached them. I just sort of led the witness into saying it's okay to use that predilection to move in that direction. It's okay to set that goal for yourself. And they're all very different, right? They all do something different. But when you do that, the question is more so, what does accelerated learning have to do with persistence? In other words, think about it. If you set this goal, let's go to Marty for a second, okay? And Marty's a hockey player. And you have a short window as an athlete to get really good at something. And what happens is if you are persistent and determined, and let's say there's 15 other hockey players out in the ice, and 10 of them are more talented. You can see it immediately. Man, they can skate the lights out. They can shoot blindfolded. Their eyes are up and they can see the ice, whatever it might be. But if you just get determined to become one of them, to elevate into that pool of other talented people, what happens is your persistence and your determination make you first on the ice, make you last off the ice. Then all of a sudden you're watching film. And all of a sudden you're learning this craft is being accelerated more so than the skilled person who had an easy day at the office today. Things just went well for them. Let's go into the business environment. Somebody's just a better mathematician, and man, they just rattled through all those spreadsheets today, and you were grinding and sweating and coughing and choking. But the next morning, you came a little bit more, a little earlier to the office. You watched a couple of people on YouTube educate you on how to use different techniques and tactics. And all of a sudden, something clicks. You have a new wiring, and click, your learning's up, and nobody else is in the office. So this persistence and determination all of a sudden accelerates your learning process. Now you're learning faster than a talented person, making more distinctions in them. You see, that's why so many, and if you're very talented at something, this is a warning to you. Don't get lazy based on your talent. It's not always going to be easy. It's not. Things are going to come and people are going to sneak up on you. And all of a sudden you're going to wonder, how did the pack catch me? I was so much more talented than everyone. Yeah, but you didn't make the new distinctions. You didn't learn about the new techniques and tactics. You actually stopped living in a modern everyday world. You fell behind because you got lazy in your talent. So there's the encouragement for both talented people who have a natural aptitude and get an early lead to keep being persistent and determined to be the leader. Maintain, if you're talented at something, maintain your lead on the pack. And I'm making it the proverbial pack, right? Because remember what we're doing. We're trying to help you all elevate. That's the idea here. But when you become aware that talent, if we blame it, it's killing you from being this learner and going after it. Because you have to believe that this is possible because it happens every single day of every single year of every single millennium, right? You can do things at a high level if you become somebody who just decides that you're going to go for it and you learn at an accelerated rate. But you have to become really that person who firmly decides and goes all in and accelerates the learning. Fall in love with the learning process. Right? Become an avid reader. And if you hate reading, stop whining about it. Get Audible. I listen to more books on Audible than I ever thought I would because I like to read. But I need to accelerate my learning at my age to get certain things that I want. I wish I had accelerated even younger. Do it now. Okay? That's what happens. When you're determined and persistent, you're accelerating the learning curve and you're catching up and you're gaining talent along the way. You're becoming talented. Okay. So some people are naturally talented and other people develop the talent that they need to do what they're doing. Right. So think about that. It's sort of a race to talent. Some are born with it, get lazy. Others aren't born with as much, but they have a predilection to learning about it and they gain it. It's possible. Now, again, I'm going to tell you, of course, you're probably not going to play in the NBA if you're 5'9" and you can't jump through the roof and you can't dribble the ball at an accelerated rate. I get it. But remember what I said earlier. If you love basketball, why can't you be the next great coach? Why can't you be the next great GM? Why can't you be part of the production team? I watched a fabulous story about a gal right now. I'm a huge hockey fan, and we're watching the World Juniors, and the first woman to ever be involved in the coaching staff on the U20 men's under 20 team is a woman from Providence College who is a fanatic for learning. Her dad grew up doing this kind of work. She fell in love with it. She goes to Providence College and works her tail off, accelerates her learning. You know she accelerated her learning because she graduated summa cum laude at the top of the top. You don't do that without an obsession and a determination and a persistence to get there. What a story. A perfect example. She's not going to wake up and tell you, I could take video and I could analyze video for these teams better than anybody. I guarantee you she's not going to wake up and tell you that. But man, what a story. And you see what I'm saying? A woman breaking in for the first time in history. This is 2020 at the recording of this podcast. You understand what I'm saying? This is the first time ever somebody in that sport as a woman broke into that kind of a role. The next will be breaking into it at the NHL level. I mean, these just amazing things are happening because of determination. It's got nothing to do with talent. Interest, maybe, but talent being developed, right? So that last point, though, is let's go to the talented people. Does talent really lose out to persistence and determination? Not if the talent doesn't get lazy. You see it all the time at really high-level professional sports. Somebody worked their tail off or they were really talented right from the get-go and they're just like the best of the best. And then all of a sudden, it's like the attitude problem follows. The swagger now borders on complete narcissism. They're no longer the team player. The town doesn't love them anymore and boo-hoo, they cry. The world is against me, right? No, you just didn't understand that there should be a marrying of these things. Those that start off talented need to marry themselves into a life of persistence and determination to maintain not only what they were naturally gifted with, but to always elevate it and try to stay in front of the wave before it crashes on them. Those who weren't born with as much, you'll guarantee when they make that decision, they're coming after you talented folks. So it's not about which one of these things that we have more naturally. Some of you are more just persistent and determined to become that thing. Some are talented and need to maintain it, whatever the case is. But just understand that you can't sit back and want something and blame the world for not gifting you talent. It's never going to be a valid excuse. You got to go for it, even if it means you play some other role in the arena that you wanted to play in. Okay, let me go back and summarize this. Persistence and determination trump talent. I'm going to stick with that because I heard it and I liked it. And I think in the long run, if talent doesn't wake up, it's true. But what are the points? 1, what is talent? It's a natural aptitude or skill as defined in the dictionary. But why are we so quick to blame it for success? Because it comes dressed in overalls and looks like a lot of work when you're trying to win at something. Next point, what triggers persistence and determination? That firm decision. What does accelerated learning have to do with persistence and determination? Well, when you're persistent and determined, you're in the mode of learning all the time and you're accelerating beyond somebody who's a lazy learner. And lastly, does talent really lose out to persistence and determination? No, they can all win if they just understand that you are developing more talent by being persistent and determined. So even the talented better go to work. All right, let me summarize it this way. It's so easy to blame talent for the success we see in others because it makes it easy for us to blame our lack of giftedness as a reason for our failure or just failure to start. The truth, however, is that talent alone is very rarely the sole factor behind success. In fact, when studying successful people who appear to be talented, you'll tend to find that the majority of them were really just persistent and determined to reach the goal that they had firmly decided upon once a long time ago. All right, now remember, you can take immediate action to get moving in a better direction because we take all the notes from each episode and we post them at freethinkingtools.com, freethinkingtools.com, just a little landing page. We put some notes up there for you. You can go get them and you can sit down with a cup of coffee or in a quiet place, go to work thinking about how to move in the right direction for your life. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen so that you don't miss out on any insights each time we upload an episode. We also post all of these episodes on our social media channels, so remember to turn on notifications for the bonus section, and you won't miss the reminders. We'd also appreciate it if you would share our content with other people just like you so they get the help that they need, and you can join us in our mission of becoming people for others. Now remember, I always sign off the same way. Nobody's coming for you. So go get to work on yourself and your plan for your life. And I will see you in the next episode to keep you moving in that direction. Thanks for listening.